Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Magical Coffee Hour. We are live here in the Working Dragon Mystic community at workingdragonmystic.com. We are still having streaming issues over at YouTube. I apologize. That being said, I do encourage you to join the Working Dragon Mystic community so you can join us live, whether there's issues or no issues. It's a lot of fun, great community, great interaction, a lot of people helping each other with their different paths, practices, multiple opinions on problem solving. Honestly, I'm proud of the community. We are going to be covering the 28 laws of magic this week, and may take us a couple weeks. We'll see how long it goes. We're going to be taking some questions from the community as we go through these. Hopefully, we'll get through a few of them tonight, because I know when I did them just for videos, it took me 3 or 4 videos. So we'll see how long it takes. We may have to take a week off or something. I don't know. Also, I had to show these off. I absolutely had to. Jade's been tinkering with something and she sent it to me, and hopefully we can get these into the community giveaways very shortly. Okay. By the way, we are recording this, so if you're here watching, please keep your cameras off. They only need to see me. Just a heads up. But you guys got to see this. Check this out. That is actually a little pin, like a button thing that she made that is pretty freaking cool. She also sent me a bottle opener, right? And the bottle opener is a magnet. I didn't realize it was a magnet. That one's actually currently on my refrigerator because it's a bottle opener, people. She also sent me some test mock-ups of the Working Dragon Mystic Melnyorn design that we have a tapestry of. We got that. I have to absolutely show these off. So if Jade, you're watching, I'm sorry if I embarrass you, but these things are amazing. And our runic circle Volt knot too. She got that one in there. All of these are freaking cool. I mean, you can make out the runes around these very, very easy in person. I mean, these are absolutely gorgeous. So for those of you in the community, these are going to probably be working their way into giveaways very shortly. So we always need more bottles opener. Oh yeah, don't we? Don't we though? Okay, now let's get into this coffee hour, shall we? Now, the 28 laws of magic. First off, what are these? Why do we have them? Where did they come from? If you go, honestly, these were collected across multiple traditions, multiple practices, and like I have found them in a lot of places. There is a book called Real Magic by, I want to say it's Isaac Bonowitz, is one of the places where I found them all condensed into one place for the first time. Now he breaks the 28 into major laws and sub laws, so it's not quite 28. I forget where I saw them broke up into, instead of sub laws, they were just listed out as straight 28. But I've always kept them listed as the 28 because honestly, it's a little easier for some people to follow them than using law, sub law, So if you are interested in it, let me know, and I will try to post the name of that book and the author in the community, so you guys can read it. I will admit that book reads like a research paper. It's one of the first scientific looks of magic that I really got my hands on. I thought it was kind of cool how he broke some of the stuff down, but it is one of the most boring, dry reads. Fascinating, but boring and dry. So just be prepared if you do read it. And I do recommend it, actually. Don't take that as I don't recommend it. Okay. um, let's see. Actually, we do the place where staying doesn't have bottle opener. Yep, everybody needs a bottle opener. You really do. That's why I keep a multi-tool on my belt always. All right. So the first law in this list is the law of knowledge, right? That is the very first law within the law of magic. And understanding brings control. The more you know about a subject, the easier it is to control it. Knowledge is power, is the general summary here. Okay. A lot of these, if you look across a lot of teachings through Wicca, ceremonial magic, mysticism, and stuff, some of these are going to jump out and you're going to start seeing how all these things are interconnected and woven in. Okay. Which is one of the reasons I think is pretty cool. And honestly, I keep this list around for two reasons. A, over the years, I found it works and it actually holds up, but I also continually test it. I continue to press it in my practice and I continue to meditate on it and see, does it still hold water? Interestingly enough, of the very few things that have always held water through my practice, these laws have. And if we think about it from a science perspective, that's what a law should do. It should always maintain its truth, if that makes sense. But the law of knowledge is literally talking about what do you know about a subject? What do you actually know about it? Are you just making it up? Are you just winging it? Or have you actually dove in there? Have you studied it to truly understand it? And the more you understand something, the more you understand the subject, the easier it is to control it. This is true in magic. You have to understand the subject in order to have control of it. The better you understand the goal, the better you understand what you're working toward, the more control you're going to have over it, regardless of the methodology and magic you apply to it. Interestingly enough, this also goes into spellcraft, which we could do an entire coffee hour probably on spellcraft alone. But the more you understand about spellcraft, how it works, why certain things are actually done, other than someone just telling you, here, put these things together and focus on it. The more you actually know about it, the stronger the spell becomes in and of itself. So every stage of the working, every stage of it, the more you know about every stage, the stronger the overall working is. Does that make sense? Anybody got any questions? If you got a question on law one, throw it at me. Even that's why, yes, that is absolutely why research is so important. Um, it's one of those things, like, people have actually started throwing out research for personal gnosis. And you all know we did a video called Let Your Personal Gnosis Be Wrong, because yeah, there are times things will shift and change. What you think you thought you knew, you didn't know. Again, that's one of the reasons I constantly test these laws, because yeah, I don't know their true solid origin. You have seen them throughout tomes, which gives them some archaeological value, perhaps. Um, but it's through the constant testing, the constant, does it still work? That I keep them around. So do your research. Don't just take it on personal gnosis, because if anything in the occult has taught me anything, it's easy to be wrong and make mistakes. And hopefully you learn from those mistakes as you do them. Let's see here. So the next one, this one should come as no surprise to anyone, especially here in Working Dragon Mystic. Law of self-knowledge. That is actually separate from knowledge. The most important magical knowledge is about oneself. Familiarity with one's own strengths and weaknesses is vital to a magician. Know thyself. Many of us in the community have tripped over this one, banged our head on a rock, if you will. If you think about it, the hardest thing to conquer in magic is your own self-doubt, is your own lackings. It is very hard to be honest to yourself. Even people who say, I'm my own worst critic, even those people are very, very difficult for them to be honest about the problems they're working on. You got a lot of people very quickly, like they've been struggling with a problem for 3 years. They'll sit down, do one ritual, and then they'll claim they're completely over it. And in all truth, let's be honest, 99% of the time, we know they're fooling themselves. Rarely is a problem over in one ritual. Rarely. And self-development, self-work, self-knowledge, those take time. And we have to examine ourselves. We have to know our weaknesses. We have to know our strengths. And we do need to focus in on those things. It's not always easy. Like, I know I'm grumpy. I know I can be bullheaded. I know I would rather charge in, ask questions later. That's not always good. Though at times those are stronger parts of my personality. At times they're definitely negative parts of my personality. You need to truly understand who you are, in detail. You really do. And the more you understand that, the better. Does that make sense, everybody? If anybody's got a question, throw that one at me. Let's see. Um, I'm looking at him reminding him of that. Okay, okay. So yeah, so it's happened in our own community. The good thing about life is you'll be like, Eureka, I solved it. And then tomorrow you're going to stub your toe and realize, I didn't know. I didn't solve it. Got to go back to the drawing board. It's a lot of fun, though. At least the drawing board's always there for you. Um, are there consequences for going against the laws? Depends on what you mean by consequences. And there is actually a law based around consequences because, technically speaking, these laws aren't like laws of you have to obey this or you will be arrested. Stop, you're under arrest. Stop, you're under arrest. It's not that kind of a law. This is more like a law of nature, if you will. Technically, this is just how the multiverse and the natural world functions, right? And the understanding of that natural process helps the magician. A lot of people want to think of magic and what we do as magicians as supernatural, extraordinary. Everything we do is based within the common multiverse, the common world. It is part of nature. The way a flower grows or the way a weed grows in your yard is no different than what we do. It's just a matter of understanding that process. Okay, if that makes sense. So are there consequences? There's consequences for every single thing you do. Nothing in life is without consequences. Their severity and how quickly they come, you may never notice them. And some you may notice really, really quick. You know, like if you're not paying attention and you decide, oh, I need to move that cast iron skillet, and you grab it barehanded and it's rocket hot, that's a consequence you're going to see really fast. um, Other consequences you may never see. You may cut someone off in traffic. It may have adverse effects on you or someone else. There will be consequences rippling out. You may never know. You know what I'm saying? Everything has a consequence, which is actually one of the laws later on. We'll get into more. All right. Third law, law of cause and effect. I think a lot of people are familiar with this. If exactly the same actions are done under exactly the same conditions, they will produce exactly the same results. Similar strings of events produce similar outcomes. Control every variable and you control every change. Good freaking luck. Okay. Now, this is literally talking about the process and the pattern in which everything comes into fruition. Ultimately, when we are doing a spell, when we are doing a ritual, when we are putting our intent out there, we are trying to pluck those string of events to get that manifestation, right? Fine. The problem is you're dealing with such an infinite large web, you cannot control every single thing. You can't control the weather. You can't control the humidity. You can't control, everything. You can't control where every person on the planet is standing because everything is interconnected. You're not going to be able to control every event. But by understanding that everything is connected through cause and effect, two things can happen. This teaches the mage how to build a string of events to give him the best chance of manifesting the result he or she wants. And it also allows him to observe events and see what actually brought it about. How did this happen? It actually allows us to deconstruct it to its source point of what started this. Where did it escalate from? Who started the fire, if you will? Any questions on that one? If not, we can move on. That's fine. I think law of cause and effect is generally what most people know. All right. Four. Um, Law of synchronicity. God, I trip over that word all the time. Synchronicity. Two or more events happening at the same time are likely to have more associations in common than mere temporal events. Rarely does anything happen in isolation from nearby events. There's no such thing as mere coincidence. Okay, that's kind of the gist of this. Things happen in a chain of events, and rarely is anything just a coincidence. Rarely is anything a coincidence. And understanding that, again, we're looking at that interconnected web of the multiverse and how everything interacts. If you've ever studied the concept of the butterfly effect, you're kind of seeing that same thing here. One thing that happens across town may have an effect on something further out. Anybody's ever been part of a large area power outage, you've experienced this feeling. Some little jackrabbit hits one pole 10 or 12 miles away from you, and it just happens to be the right pole to cause a chain reaction to cause power outage in a 12-mile radius. And you're just stuck sitting there staring at the wall trying to figure out what to do without electricity. Hopefully, not in a time of year where you're going to make it suffer. But your power outage wasn't just a coincidence because there was a series of events that brought it about. Does that so you can see the same thing with magic and when you're doing things. And if you can understand it again, those patterns allow you to reach that manifestation better. But also, this is kind of where I find this one really important is personal patterns. Um, if you're trying to reach a goal in your life and you're not reaching it, it's probably not a coincidence. It's probably not the deck is stacked against you. It's probably a pattern that you need to look at, you need to examine, you need to find, and you need to break, right? Um, if I was trying to get in shape and lose weight while eating 2 extra large Papa John's pizzas a day, I'll be honest with you, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen. There's no way I can do that. I'd have to break that pattern, right? You got to change your habits. Um, and that's with almost anything in life. You need to build your habits and even your thought processes, how we carry ourselves, the way we think. All these little things can do so much. I did a little challenge a while back where I just challenged everyone to get up, shower, get dressed. I mean, this has been a long time ago. The number of people who, in less than a week, their mood, their health, everything spiked and got better just because they got up and got dressed. They're like, I don't understand it. The weird thing is, you got up, you did this thing, you accomplished this thing. And honestly, we have this attitude about up and dressed. Like, this is, we did something. We're not just lounging around in our pajamas or whatever, just sitting in the dark. Those little things can do such a huge thing for our mood, and our mood can affect our health. And those small habits, those small, tiny habits can absolutely manifest a huge change in our life. And if we apply those same habits to our magic and develop solid, healthy magic and spiritual habits, those two snowball and create massive changes in our life. So there we go. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Another good one. Number 5, law of association. If any two or more patterns have elements in common, the patterns interact through the common element, and control of one pattern um, facilitates control over the others. The greater the commonality, the greater the influence. Let's see. Getting dressed as soon as I get out of bed is an old habit of mine. Yeah, it's a good habit. It really is. So here we're seeing association. Now, in magic, we see association all over the place. Like the moment you step inside, I'm going to start researching magic, you start seeing association. You can also view this as correspondence in some ways. If you can tie a pattern to another pattern, if you can make a link to it, it gives you some control over it, right? Think about if you're trying to do spell working for a person, you use their name, you use a picture. Maybe you make a puppet, maybe you use a candle that you inscribe their name on it. In some way, you're wanting to connect that ether to the person you're wanting to affect through the power of that association. That's pretty straightforward what that one is. If you have any questions on these, do put them in there. Even if I get past them, just write down which one you got a question on for me so we can address it. Any questions on association? I figure that one's pretty straightforward, but I like to ask just in case. All right. Looked like something popped up and disappeared. Oh well, that's okay. Law of sympathy. This is actually a good example of where the sub laws came in. And because things that have an affinity with each other influence and interact with each other over a distance. Everything is connected to everything else. Now, law of sympathy, we're talking about that connection, right? This is where in Magic you do get things like, do you have their shirt? Do you have their sock? Do you have a hair? Do you have a thumbnail? Do you have their favorite can of beer? What is it that has a sympathetic link between your working and your target? What is that sympathetic link that's going to interact and connect those things? This one is one of those that allows that to happen. Since all things are actually ultimately interconnected in the universe, if you can create a sympathetic link that you know of that is going to be stronger than just the general mundane morass of the fog of connection, that's going to allow you to get a stronger manifestation or a quicker manifestation. Um, so is it like, yeah, actually, that is one of those things. Our intuition is actually picking up on the interconnection of that multiverse. And when we have a strong connection with an individual, doesn't have to be magical or anything, it can be just an emotional connection, it can be love, it can be friendship, whatever it is, whatever that connection that we have with them, that we know them, it is very possible for us to feel that loss before we're aware that they pass. I felt that in my life quite a few times. So yes, that can actually do that. Um, and here we're still dealing with those connections. Law of similarity. Like produces like. An effect resembles its cause. Having an accurate image of something facilitates control over it. Looks alike are alike. Again, we're seeing that connection definitely in the picture concept. This is also one of the ones why green candles are so often to represent money. And then I've had some person say, well, I know some people use yellow candles. Yeah. What is the base color of gold that most people think of if we don't use the word gold? It's yellow in its base tone if we look at, prime colors. So you're using those things that are alike, whether it be a photograph exact or whether you're using an actual dollar. There's people who will actually use dollars directly in spells or coins. You are using something that is actually alike it. You're trying to get that connection through there as well. Hopefully that makes sense. I know a few people even here in the chat right here, like Immortal. I know you've done this where you've actually used money for prosperity spells and stuff. Um, okay, and here we go. Law of contagion. Objects or beings once in contact with each other continue to interact after separation. Okay, Immortal. Here we are seeing again that connection with something like if it was a hair or a shirt, something that was once a part of you is now separate. It still continues to affect you, right? This also goes for people, like your question where you was asking, is this how you feel the passing of person? If this is someone you have spent a lot of time with, someone you have been in contact with, the closer the bond, the stronger it's going to be, right? With family, you're usually hugging on them, shaking hands, some way you are showing affection and whatnot. So that is definitely going to happen. Partners, people you are partners with, kissing, hugging, sleeping with, those kinds of things. Again, you're going to have a very strong connection. Includes our exes, unfortunately. So if you have exes, whether they're good exes or toxic exes, do be aware that those connections still do actually exist. Um, they chose contagion for a reason, I think. I always joke that they chose contagion for a reason on this one. And I can think of a couple exes that feel like a plague to me. I really can. Um, Matthias, I felt that last one. I think most adults have felt that. I really do. So there we go. Any questions on law of contagion or similarity? Sounds like everyone understands that one pretty solidly. Oh, cue up L. My exes live in Texas. All right. Now, the next two, I absolutely love these two, and you guys hear me talk about these two a lot. Okay? Because these two are two that are very important, very, very important for self mastery, self empowerment, and manifestation in your magic. And you need to understand them both. And there's a bad habit in modern times to oversimplify these. Ready? All right. Number 9, law of positive attraction. Okay, we hear this one. Everybody's heard about The Secret. Everybody's heard about law of attraction. Well, this is usually what they lock in on, right? Like attracts like. To create a particular reality, you must put out similar ether or energy of that sort. That which is sent returns. So, whatever you put out in the world, you get back in return. That's the whole concept here. That's what everybody's talking about. And that's fine and dandy, right? I've seen people have an entire month, a fantastic freaking month. They're staying positive. They're staying focused. I mean, it's hard to stay focused and positive for a month, but they're doing it. And you can just see them rocking and rolling. And you're sitting there, you want to buy them a lottery ticket. They're having such a great month, right? And then one morning they get up, they're making breakfast. Somebody rings the doorbell. On the way to the door, they stub their toe, they scream profanities, and they're convinced this crap don't work. They just stub their toe. Oh my God, my day is ruined. And they just spiral out of control. They forget they had an entire awesome month before they stubbed their toe. And their entire logic is, if this works, I wouldn't have stubbed my toe. It don't work. Just throw it away, right? That's where they go with it. And that's because we have taught for many years now, at least 20 that I'm aware of, that as long as you stay focused, as long as you do good, nice things, and as long as you only put positive things out, you will only get positive back. And a stubbed toe, a broken window, somebody jacking your car stereo, those aren't positive. So why did they come? Right? Well, let's read the rest of it, shall we? Law 10, law of negative attraction. They're connected, people. Like attracts unlike. Energy and actions often attract their complementary opposites. Opposites attract. See? Now, when you take these two laws, first off, you understand that whatever you're putting out in the world, whatever you're focused on, that is also what you're attracting. And it will be truth that most of what you attract to you will be what you focus on. So ask yourself, where do you spend 80% of your focus in life? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it achieving your goals? Is it wasting your time? Where do you spend 80% of your focus? And if you're like, oh, dear God, I don't spend 80% on anything. I spend 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. Then are you even focused on achieving goals? Because if you're too spread out, you're really not going to make progress anywhere quickly. And newsflash, we all have an expiration date on us. So get focused. All right. And get focused on that. Put 80% of your focus on whatever your primary goals are. And pick one and snowball it. Focus on one, click it down. So focus on one, click it down, right? Now, the next part of this is to understand that while you're attracting everything that it is that you're staying focused on and positive on, you also have to understand the multiverse will try to balance it in some effect. That means something is going to happen to cause you to stumble, to cause you to fall. This is for a lot of reasons. It's to keep the ether imbalanced, because you want to make sure it's balanced in all entities in out there. But you also want to make sure that that entity continues to grow, continues to live. Think about it. If you sit on the couch or in a hospital bed for months on end, your muscles begin to atrophy, right? You literally will need physical therapy because you just sat on your ass too long. So life is the same way. You have to live life or you start to degrade. So life is constantly going to flick you in the ear, hit you with a ruler, trip you. It's going to do something. But if you understand these two rules, you know that 80% is what matters. The 80%. And yes, there may be a 10 or 20% where you're going to fall down, you're going to stumble. But too many people, they do really great at focusing on the 80%, have a bad day, and suddenly they flip it. Now they're focused 80% on the negative, 80% on the bad, and they stay there. And no matter how you choose to focus, these two laws remain true. If I focus and spend my time focused on negative, depressing, crappy shit, guess what? The universe is going to throw me a nugget of goodness occasionally. I'm going to have a good day, whether I like it or not. Something good is going to happen to me eventually. Eventually. Unfortunately, eventually doesn't really make for a good life. So you have the choice. Where do you put the big chunk? And what do you let the universe kick you a little bit every now and then? Does that make sense, everyone? Does those two make sense? Because they are interconnected. And please, if you have any questions on these two, ask. Because these two, I feel, are very important. I do think most magicians, if we really understood just up to these 10 laws, most magicians could improve their life double or quadruple. I really do. It's crazy, I know, but I really do think that. I really do. And I don't even think you really need to be a magician to implement these 10. So if you got a question, hit me with it, because I'd love to hear if you got a question on the 9 or 10. All right. If not, we will keep on a trucking. We might actually get through more. What time is it? Okay, so we won't get through more than I thought. Tell you what, we're going to do 5 more, and then I will open the coffee hour to if anyone has any off-topic questions, just so you all know that. And then we'll pick up and try to do the second half next week, okay? Oh yeah, honestly, for the longest time, I was one who would stay in horrible mood and stumbling. Yeah, see, it sucks. And, like I do it, I've done it. And I will tell you, the moment I realize I'm doing it, I get pissed at myself. I go to a mirror, I yell at myself, and you know what we do? I usually immediately do a full shave. Like I grab my razor, I do a nice full blade shave and everything, head, face, I pamper myself real nice. Good, fine shower, get some fresh clothes, dress up smart. And I look myself in the mirror and like, yep, we got this. Let's do it. And I throw my best foot forward immediately. I don't wait till the next day. I literally, when I recognize it, I go get cleaned up. I go through that ritual because I'm literally just washing all that BS away and putting my best foot forward and locking it in. Because Drake is that confident, clean cut, ready to go mage country boy. He ain't some fat guy sitting there eating Cheetos in his boxer shorts. It would probably be my right foot, honestly. I got a good right foot and a good left knee. Say, Bornoldas, what do you do when things get so bad that the stress starts manifesting in physical symptoms? Step back, breathe, motherfucker, breathe. You really do need to breathe. Yes, it does get that way. It really does. And this, if we look at like stoicism, right, and we look at those things, one of the first things that you need to do is actually look at everything going on, truly evaluate it, ask yourself, what can I do something about? Take just one issue at a time, look at it, say, okay, that's happening. You can even say, I'm glad that's happening, right? I know people who do this, no matter what's happening in their life, they say, I'm glad that's happening. This is a good thing. Now, how is this a good thing? And they start literally trying to find the evidence of why this is a good thing, how this benefits them, what's this teaching them, what wisdom are they gaining? And just like you can find evidence to make sure anything's negative, you can find that evidence to make it positive. So just one through one. And ask yourself straight up, can I change this? Can I do anything about it? If the answer is no, there you go. Can't do anything about it. Move on. Literally just go down through the checklist and you will find, generally speaking, if you do this exercise, most people find anywhere from 70 to 85% of the things they're stressed about, they can't do anything about. They can't do anything about it. And worrying and stressing about something that you literally can't change gets you nowhere, right? I'm epileptic. I could worry every day of my life. I could stress about it. I could woe is me about it. It's not going to change a dang thing. Or I could just understand that I'm epileptic. That comes with its challenges, but I'm not going to let it stop me from living life. And you do that. So yeah, I highly recommend Stoicism for those particular areas. But yeah, it does get there. And when you really have to. And sometimes you just need a breather, right? Sometimes you just need a breather. There's been plenty of times where I've needed a breather. I usually let the admin team and my friends know it's like, I need a breather. And I will just take 24 to 48 hours. I'll take that breather and I schedule it. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm relaxing, but I immediately, no more than 48 hours, no more than 48 hours. 24 is preferable. I'll take that breather and I'm straight back to it. But that breather, that self-care, it's amazing. And honestly, if you're doing a little bit of self-care and you're managing stuff the whole time, it's really harder to get there. Usually, if we hit that point of, oh dear God, everything's on fire, it's because we've not been handling things up until that point. But if it gets there, like I said, just one by one, go through there and figure it. Ask yourself, can you do anything about it? If not, don't. If so, what can you do? And if you can, okay, can I do something about it right now, this moment, right now? The answer is yes, do it. If the dishes are piled over your head, and well, I could try to clear out the sink and start doing some dishes. Okay, do that. Even if you got to move the dishes over to the stove so that you can have room to do the dishes to get them into the dishwasher. Do one load of dishes. Just do one load because that's already helping. And while that load's going, immediately go to the next problem. And as soon as that load's done, do another load. Just tackle what you can tackle. And if it's something that, well, I'm not going to be able to do this because this person's not in the office for 2 weeks. Okay, you can't do squat about it. Put it on a calendar for 2 weeks from later. Now, pretty straightforward. Hope that helps. Build those habits. Build those habits. Let's see what we got in here. We might not get those next 5. I'm not even that good at it. I'll stay in a horrible mood sometimes, but then, yeah, you got to just yank yourself out of there. Whether you're in a bad mood or not, get up and start doing things that make you feel good. Start, and not just feel good. Get out there and do things that accomplish something. Human beings are hardwired to be positive and feel good when we are accomplishing things. So even if you don't want to do it, like mow the yard, I hate mowing the yard, but I feel so good when I accomplish it. Seriously, when you're in those moods, just get up, get dressed, and go do something. Accomplish something. Yeah, the more you stress over things you can't do anything about, they just spiral. So you honestly got to learn to let them go. Learn to let them go. Part of what I'm trying to do is balance. All right. Where were we? What are we time? Okay. That was 10. Well, I don't know if I'd channel my inner Elsa. Let's be honest, the way she handled situations was not smart. So I don't know if I'd channel her. Maybe Mr. Miyagi. um, let's see, we got 20 minutes. So let's see here. Law of names. This is another big one you'll hear a lot about, and a lot of people's twisted it through mythology and pop culture. Knowing the name, you know that which is named. Knowing the complete and true name of an object, being, or process gives you complete control over it. What's in a name? Everything. Now, this is one that has been highly debated. Highly, highly debated. Because what's it mean to have that control, and what does it mean to have the true name? That's kind of the, debate here. And in a lot of ways, there's people who would say we never know the true name of a thing. We never know it. Even the thing itself probably doesn't know the true name of the thing. So that's a very, esoteric kind of philosophical discussion a lot of people have. That being said, a name does give connection. Remember all those laws above that we were talking about connections? Those can apply to the name. All those things can apply to that name because that name is sympathetically linked, it's contagionally linked. It links on every one of those bars. It's part of the self. It's a knowledge of the thing. But there's more to it than just knowing the name, too. So you need to know the name, you need to know its proper pronunciation, and you need to know its correct spelling. All right? That's a lot of, if you think about it, I guarantee you every person here has done it. I know I'm guilty of it. You will see a name, you will meet a person. It's a perfectly normal name. They say it in a perfectly normal way. And then you see how they spell it, and you're looking at them like, that don't make no sense. There's letters where there shouldn't be letters. There's sounds where there shouldn't be sounds. There's not sounds where there should be sounds. That don't make no sense. Here's the kicker. That name is associated with them. That spelling is associated with them. That pronunciation is associated with them. Up to and including, there are people who actually will consider accent part of name. And these are usually the names that don't sound right in other accents. There are plenty of them. So if you are to truly know the name, you need to know every single aspect of it, and you need to know it in its entirety, right? So if we just look at a birth name, we already see we're deep into layers that it would take a person years to truly understand an individual. But your birth name's not your name either. It's only a portion because nicknames come in, affectionate terms come in. Anything that is used as a name for you actually starts interweaving into a true name. And there's probably parts of that I guarantee every one of us has forgotten. Like my grandfather used to have so many names for me. I don't remember them all. I honestly, truly don't remember them all. So by that standard, I technically couldn't, even if I sat down to probably put everything together. Well, I could probably evoke him and ask him. That's assuming he remembers. He's a forgetful old codger. So just something to consider there. All right, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to open the floor for off-topic questions. So if you have an off-topic question, be thinking about it. Number 12, law of words of power. Okay. Certain words are able to alter the internal and external realities of those uttering them, and their power may rest in the very sounds as much as in their meaning. A word to the wise is sufficient. All right. This is a cool one. This is kind of fun because a lot of people think they're looking for secret words hidden throughout the multiverse that they're not English, they're not Japanese, they're not Spanish, they're not French. They're these otherworldly words. Sorry, that's not the case. Words have power, period. Right? Now, certain words have power over certain people that other words don't, right? I'll be honest. I cannot help but get a swell of emotion. And it's largely positive, happy, and proud when I hear the national anthem. I absolutely love it. Same thing with Arlington. If you've ever heard Trace Atkins, Arlington, freaking tearjerker. Um, so there are definite songs are words. Those things carry power with them. Some of the older music people swear carried more power because they say a lot of the electronic stuff is just dance music. It's not really trying to communicate emotions and feelings. I would say that's true for me. I don't know about the younger generation. Maybe those songs do. I know a lot of kids who they're surprised when they hear older music and how much it does cause emotional feedback in them and stuff. Um, that might be an interesting experiment we could dive into, but words have power, right? They do. They absolutely have power. And there are certain things that we do have, like if you look at the runes, for example, the runes, and when you golder them or you vibrate them, certain vibrations clearly do have an effect. Is it just the tonal vibration? Is it the actual word? You know, there's debate to be had there, but words have power. And more importantly, even when you're making jokes or something, is your subconscious listening to you tear yourself down? What is it you say about yourself? Because your subconscious hears it and your subconscious can actually internalize it. So consider what you are surrounding yourself with and what you are speaking into reality about yourself. Um, so all right. So with that, we got 12. That's the 12. We will save the next batch for next week. Anybody got any off-topic questions that we can handle this week? Or any questions about any of these laws? I'll also take those just so for this last 10 minutes here before we wrap up. Well, Jackie, like I said earlier at the beginning, I don't think anyone actually knows exactly where they came from. Much like even when we look at like the law of gravity and stuff, they're observational things that we have found to largely, if always, be true. And someone wrote them down. Whether it was one singular person or different people over time, that's harder. Because, like I said, I found many of these in different occult books, but the first place I found them written down, condensed, pulled together was in the book Real Magic. And I keep wanting to say it's like Isaac Bonowitz is the name. I think. If you want, I can put the book and the author in the announcement section for you all on the community. But it's not that he created them. He's just like he's a scholar who he read them all, collected them all, put them into one place, and wrote them down as laws and sub-laws. And I cannot remember the other author who took them from laws and sub-laws to just straight put them in a straight list of 28. Um, honestly, can't remember that one, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know that anyone actually knows their original origin. But at the same time, if we do view them in the same concept of like the laws of nature, they didn't come from a person. They're just there. And through observation, study, and understanding, we came to understand them. Again, these aren't authoritative laws. That's not what these are. I hope that answers your question, Jackie. Um, Let's see. Weird question. That's okay. We'll brace ourselves. I know you have a black staff, and I got me thinking, could someone also make a staff for protection, healing, balance rather than technically speaking, yeah, there's plenty of staffs for balance, protection, and healing. Technically, in Dragon Magic, the staff you make in Dragon Magic is a staff focused entirely on balance. It literally covers balance. That's its entire shtick, really. Uh, so you've already got that. Protection, healing. Yep, there's people who have protection and healing wands and stuff like that. So yeah, you could definitely do that. Um, For Noldus, for an open question, have you ever worked with the 44 Solomonic Pentacles? And if so, how best did you how best did you find to work with them? I have actually. So back when I did a path working with the 72 Goetic spirits through the Solomonic practice, we also worked with the pentacles. And in truth, like we done a lot of experiments with the pentacles. And I've actually worked with the pentacles more after that than I ever did the entities. And the pentacles, the best results I was getting from them. Um, how would I explain this? So the best results I was getting with them was opening the pentacle, similar to how you would open a sigil, connecting to it, not meditating with it, but more diving into it through trance. Um, so I almost used it like a trance gateway. And I got a lot of great results that way. But at the same time, I was getting good results just opening them also and having them out before me and focusing, like you know what the pentacle represents, you know the kind of areas and ethers it works with. So I would take that ether, I'd open it up in meditation, and I would pour it into a goal or something I wish to manifest. And whether it was through a scrying mirror or a candle that I was gazing at, or just a blank wall, I would gaze and I would visualize the thing already had happened. And I really got some tremendous successes with the pentacles through those methodologies. Now, a lot of people say you have to use very specific metals. We tested that, and honestly, I didn't see any difference in results based on materials. I really did not. And the same thing with the other three colleagues I was working with. Good question. So that's my experience with them. Perhaps we can discuss the pentacles in a workshop or something one time. I often forget the pentacles are there. Let's see. Why do you have a staff specifically for baneful magic? Long story short, I'm curious and dove into things that I regret. um, so Immortal, I have two knives for protection with the help of Angra Shing, so you know I'm not playing. Yep, that is true. That is true. Uh, Matthias, that's pretty amazing, Immortal. Okay, do. Lord knows that could be good. I recently purchased a book on them, but it requests a number of steps that I'm sus on. If it's like fasting, meditation, bathing, those steps are coming straight from the Solomonic practice. Yeah, we actually went through all those steps when we originally path worked before we started to apply in other different ways, if that's the steps. Because the Solomonic practice is really based on a lot of that ritual kind of stuff. Like you almost have to plan the ritual 7 days and start prepping for it 7 days in advance. Um, which is just another reason I'm not a big fan of the traditional Solomonic practices, because I ain't got time for that. uh, but yeah, I mean, there's different ways of working with them. So mileage may vary for different people. I'm not knocking the Solomonic practice. I know people who get a lot out of it, an absolute lot. I just can't say my mileage was the same. That's the best I can do. But yeah, we may very well do a workshop or something discussing those. Okay, that one's weird. Yeah, that one's weird. Okay. Um, huh. Private message me that book. Private message me that book. Um, yeah, yeah. That's an interesting one. Yeah. That's why you gotta be careful when you get a book. I mean, you buy a book, you buy the book, right? You buy it, then you read it. Some are lemons, most are lemons. I'll be honest with you, most are lemons. Some are gems. You never know. But in most cases, you can still find something usable from them. Let's see. Let's see. It's good Drake ain't a cat because his. Oh God, yeah, yeah. Like I still can't believe I'm alive. Seriously, it's like, how did I survive? I don't know. Somebody somewhere is must like me. I don't know. Um, I've done plenty of things in life that, yeah. Any of you who's caught me in one of the supporter only or community chats, you guys know I've done some dumb stuff. But I've not had a boring life. I've not had a boring life. I've enjoyed life. I've lived it, and I plan to continue to live it. Mistakes and all. So woohoo, keep on going. See, Matthias definitely had a few like that where I guess it worked for someone, but what the actual, yeah. I mean that's kind of how you have to do it, you know? Um, I've seen a lot of people who'll pick up a book, they'll read the first chapter, they don't like the author's way of speaking, they think it's too fluffy bunnyish or whatever, and they'll chunk the whole thing without ever reading it. But at the same time, you got to understand when a person presents something, whether it's in a book or anything, they're going to present it as best they can, right? And your personality is going to come through in that, right? So there's a lot of people who follow my channel, not because I have any groundbreaking information, but I'm presenting the information in a way that they can relate to, that makes sense to them, right? And then there's people who watch my channel, they can't stand it because the Southern accent just grates them. They don't like Southerners. Okay. Then there's some people that think that I overly simplify and hand out information to too many people. Well, that's their decision. That's their opinion, and they're welcome to think it. So when we read a book, we have to understand that we're reading someone's thoughts. We're reading someone's material. They're sharing it to the best of their ability and their understanding. As we dive into that, we have to process it. We have to consider it. And we need to see if there's anything in there that might be useful to us. Does that make sense? Don't don't knock it till you finish the book and meditate it on. It's kind of usually my general rule of thumb. And I do try to meditate on it. Most books, if I can, I will read a chapter and meditate on the chapter and write notes because I'm seeking a deeper understanding and I don't want to just put the book down because the author's personality just turning me off for whatever reason. Right. Um, and there's certain personalities that I cringe from, and part of it comes from childhood because I've had friends that, ugh, a few of them, honestly, I would rather put an ice pick through my ear than have to listen to them again. I actually got one friend, I literally fell asleep for 4 hours while they were talking. They've never realized I fell asleep. That's, you talk about not being able to get a word in edgewise. That's new level, new level. I never noticed I fell asleep. Um, so yeah. Hey, there's the clocks, Immortal Stone clocks. See, I saw the clocks this week, Immortal. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could say that, but there's also a large group of people who, I mean, Gnosis is, look at Gnosis as a personal, functional something, right? It was working for them. Gnosis does not mean singular true for all. It doesn't mean that. So it could be something they found, it worked for them, and if it works for them, coolio, nothing wrong with it. There's plenty of things that work for people that don't work for me. And that's a fair way to do it, honestly. The kicker is, is it going to be something helpful and functional to your path? Only you can really decide that when you read through it and meditate on it. That's the only way you can do it. There's no one right way up the mountain, people. There's millions of paths up that mountain. We're all trying to climb the mountain. None of us will walk the exact same path. None of us will. Impossible. We may get close to the same trail, but none of us will walk the exact same path. Everyone's journey is unique. Remember that. Always remember that. And anyone who tells you different is honestly trying to sell you something and up to some shenanigans. They are. Um, let's see. Yeah, see, similar thing. Similar thing. It's still on the phone rambling. Yeah, very similar. I still expect sometime for Jade to pop in just to throw them. Uh, I'm Jade misses coffee hour. She does. She's just been extremely, extremely busy. And well, you know this, Immortal. So yeah, we all miss Jade. Everyone say hi to Jade. Everyone sending good vibes to Jade. Jade, get everything taken care of. Get back. We miss you. Love you, Jade. Um, and if y'all want to, for funsies, go into the community in general. And at Jade, hi Jade, we miss you. Just for funsies, just a big wall of hi Jade, we miss you. Just big wall. Um, she picks on me enough. I think she deserves it. Go for it. Um, and if you're watching this in the replay and you're not here live and you join the community, feel free to at and say hi to Jade. All right, everybody, we are past the time for sure. I am going to say good night to you all. You all have a fantastic week. Everyone in the community, I will probably be doing a community call or something this week as long as I get time. I got a busy week ahead of me, but luckily it is getting into the summer time and summer hours, and so hopefully I'll be able to do that. All right, everyone, have a great evening and take care. Good night.